there's three key points to our success. And we're a very service-oriented company, and so we spend a lot of time making sure our clients are taken care of, listening to them, developing our application, making sure it meets their needs. Simplicity, we pride ourselves in creating very simple, elegant user experience. We don't want to clutter the user's experience. We don't want to complicate the user's experience. We want it to be smooth and comfortable for them so they can learn it quickly. And finally, we have a passion for excellence. We don't want to kind of halfway do something, throw it out the door, and just let it be. We constantly want to be revising and tweaking what we've already done. We don't settle for where we're at today. We look towards tomorrow and how our applications could improve.
Awesome.
Foliotek has a number of ways that we can assess users, from formative to summative and some even more informal form survey type assessments. The summative type are more high stakes type of assessments, so that if an institution is going up for accreditation or something's very important, so we can do that kind of summative assessment. We have formative that's more informal, where a student just might request a review of something. Hey, can you check this out? Give me some feedback on it. So we have that one-to-one kind of relational, informal feedback that's formative. And then we have a survey type of assessment where you can construct online forms, and you could have different users fill out those forms so you could receive feedback that way as well. I think educators are doing a good job trying to make use of excellent products in the marketplace. I think that they recognize different Google applications like Docs and Gmail and other things, and Twitter, Facebook, those kind of best of breed environments in the Web 2.0 world that educators want to use, and they recognize them as really good applications. The problem is those applications weren't designed for education. And so they inherently have some issues that crop up. So while educators are trying to piece things together, Twitter's great, so they start to use Twitter, they realize it has some failing points. Or Facebook's great, and we want to create groups and do some things in Facebook. They can get so far, and then they end up failing with it because those technologies weren't built for education. The real issue is, how can we make technology that's built for education better, rather than taking technology that wasn't built for education, kind of fit a round peg in a square hole. We want to take make education technology as good as the applications that currently aren't built for education technology. Before we got into the portfolio industry at all, there were people in the industry that are a whole lot smarter than we were, that spent decades researching portfolios and how they could be implemented and how they could be used for education. And they began to understand that there are really three different purposes for a portfolio. It's either going to be used for assessment, it's going to be used for kind of scrapbooking, personal growth, storytelling, deep learning, or it's going to be used for showcasing, presenting oneself to whatever entity they choose to present themselves to. So they had kind of done that research, and we piggybacked on it and said, hey, this is good stuff. We're going to continue in that same direction. And so we can offer a solution now where if we have an organization that wants to do assessment, we can say, okay, we have portfolios for assessment. But at the root of that assessment portfolio is this scrapbook portfolio, where you just start to gather information and you start to develop and reflect on who you are based off the artifacts that you're putting together. So you get this rich repository of information that you can use for that assessment. And then on top of that, the presentation piece, you can take that same rich repository of information for the presentation where you want to showcase yourself to potential employer. I think that's one of our biggest markets now that we have that's growing, is for students who are seeking employment. As an employer, I know that when I get a resume, It's back and front piece of paper, maybe 2 pages. It says so little about the person. If they could share with me a website that's easy for them to construct, that has artifacts that represent work that they've done in previous experiences, in school, projects they've worked on, samples of their writing, maybe videos of things that they've done, that presents a much richer picture of who that individual is and helps me better assess the type of people we want working for our company, instead of guessing, oh, well, this resume looks good, but they missed a bullet point here or something. That's not a really good and accurate way of hiring people. Whereas if we can go with a presentation style portfolio, I think there's a real future for people to use that.
Yeah.